Hello, all. Welcome to Translations, the Seattle Trans Film Festival, running May 5th through 8th. My name is Storm Miguel Flores. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm the lead programmer of this year's festival. I am thrilled to have these brilliant filmmakers joining us from our All the Hearts program. In this program, we delve into the beauty that is trans romance, heartbreak, and deep, deep love. We're talking full ecstatic hearts, broken hearts, hidden hearts, ambivalent hearts, all the hearts. I want to start by acknowledging that the Seattle Trans Film Festival and $3 Bill Cinema operates on unceded ancestral lands of the Duwamish people. And I'm personally calling from unceded Yalama Ramaytush Ohlone territory, known to most as San Francisco. It's important for us to know that Duwamish and Ohlone people are still here, as well as people from indigenous territories across Turtle Island, also known as North America. Acknowledging those people whose land we reside on is so important, and if we're guests on the land that we reside on, meaning that our ancestors come from somewhere else, then there's an opportunity for us to pay rent or land tax as a small step to be in solidarity with the First Peoples of this land. For more information on how to be in solidarity with the indigenous people of Turtle Island, check out realrentduwamish.org. And for more resources, check out Land Reparations and Indigenous Solidarity Toolkit created by Resource Generation. The link is in the bottom here. And then I think we're also adding another link to check out resources on how to be in solidarity. So thank you. Welcome to all the filmmakers. We have a lot to talk about today, and I've talked enough already. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna ask you all to come on up and introduce yourselves, the film you're here with, and your role in the film. And I'll go ahead and call on you. So let's start with Jo Gustine.
Hi, I'm Jo Gustine. I'm the writer, director, producer, and actor in Don't Text Your Ex. Don't Text Your Ex, a film about surviving a global pandemic, being queer, cute, and still in love with your ex.
Thank you, Jo. Jacqueline.
Hi, yes, my name's Jacqueline. I am the director, writer, editor, and star of Loose Threads in the Silly Little Exorcism, which is a film that I have struggled to be able to summarize succinctly, despite it only being 4 minutes. So I'm just going to read the synopsis that you guys wrote because I love it, and I can't believe I didn't think it myself. A spontaneous ritual between two best friends inspires radical self-love and reveals a hidden crush.
Thanks so much, Jacqueline. And moving on to Nyla.
Hi everyone, my name is Nyla Moon, and I am the writer, director, and I starred in because, obviously I was doing the most of a short film called How Not to Date While Trans.
Thank you, Nyla. And Emma and Subira.
Hi. I'm Emma Franklin, and I'm the co-writer, co-director, co-performer in T for T, which is a short film that you're screening.
My name is Subira, and I'm the all of those things in it too.
It was part of a longer project that was 12 films that were exchanged between myself and a trans artist in Indonesia called Tamara. We exchanged for 6 months, film back and forth each month. And this was the third film that we exchanged. And I don't have what you wrote about it in front of me, but I did note that you said it was sexy. So that was your words, not ours.
Yes, indeed it was. And yeah, all of you are brilliant. And I got to write some of the description and I had so much fun just thinking kind of about how your films made me feel and what they brought up. And one of the things that I noticed, I'm a filmmaker as well, and one of the things that I thought about and have noticed for trans and non-binary filmmakers, narrative filmmakers, is that we really like to cast ourselves in our own films, right? And I think there's plenty of reasons for this, but I'm really curious to hear from each of you, if you're interested in speaking to it, why it is that you cast yourselves in your films and why that's important.
Yeah, really For me, it's simply by virtue of the fact that like I don't know any actors personally who are trans or like gender nonconforming or anything like that. And like even though it's like significantly more work and a lot complicated and I can't see the monitor and there's like all these hurdles, I would rather like deal with like a really chaotic shoot day than like casting like a cis actor because it just wouldn't feel right to me. I definitely like this particular film was not made like for a class. It's I go to Boston University. I'm a student there, but I had a professor. I made a film like last semester where it was kind of an uphill battle. Like it was like similar where I was kind of playing myself like a fictional character who was like non-binary, identified as non-binary at the time, and like I had to basically like convince my professor that like I have to cast myself because he was like just find a guy or put him in makeup. Like, what's the difference? So yeah, it's definitely something that like not everybody gets, but I think is really important in terms of good representation.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it just shows like I just the fact that the professor was like just cast a dude, right? Like that tells us everything we need to know in a lot of ways. But I'd love to hear what other folks' thoughts are too.
I think that trans people cast themselves in their films because at least for me, I kind of started off wanting to be an actress, but I realized that there weren't any roles that I really wanted to do. I did not want to be a hooker on Law and Order, even though, you know what, make your coin, but I did not want to be a hooker on Law and Order. I didn't want to like do any of that, and I wanted to tell an authentic story. So I got into filmmaking to provide myself like space and a voice to like tell stories I think other trans people wanted to hear or maybe needed to hear. So so then it just fell into place. I just was like, oh my god, all of these stories are basically about me, so let me cast myself in it and let me do my thing, which is kind of hard. It's super hard to like direct and then act in it. Like I honestly have not even perfected it yet. Like I'm working on it. And also too, like a lot of the cis het white guy directors, they do it all the time. And no one like bats an eye. So I'm like, I'm an artist, I have these skills, and I want to use all these skills to create art and to tell my story, which are really personal stories about like what I've been through and my life.
Thanks, Nyla. We're gonna just go ahead and pop in, anyone, as you're feeling it.
Well, I didn't feel really legitimate to answer the question. I identified as a gender fluid at the time I shot the film, Don't Text Your Ex. And it just happens that I think 4 out of 7 cast members in my film are trans and non-binary. I ended up in the film by accident because I was looking for someone francophone, and Quebec entered in. I live in Toronto in Canada, and Quebec entered in the red zone because of COVID in fall 2020. So I had to find someone else, and it was like 3 days before the shooting, and I was like, okay, F8, I'm gonna do it. And yeah, it was fun. It was scary because I don't know if everyone here is used to directing and being in front of the camera. I didn't even have time to get ready, go to makeup, rehearse my lines. I had to shoot and go in front of the camera before the sunset or the rain, because we were shooting outside. So yeah, it really happened by accident. And ever since the film came out, everyone keeps telling me to just keep acting. And I'm like, shit, I'm supposed to be rich, but unrecognizable.
I think for us, I mean, a lot of we're not filmmakers first. We're theater makers and performers and writers, and a lot of the work that I make is I situated on and around my body and using my body as an object, putting my body often through stressful situations. I do a lot of like places where live art maybe meets performance. And so the whole concept of this series of films was to be this exchange between myself, Tamara. So for us to be the subject of each film. And then when it came to number 3 and it was like, okay, Trans Joy, I think was the original title. And I don't know, it was the pandemic and we were in a bubble and we were in love and we've been tattooing each other. And it was like, do you know what? The first 2 films were quite heavy and I just wanted to put us in the frame. And we worked with a cinematographer. So a cis queer filmmaker called Rosie Powell, who's fantastic. And I think has worked with both of us enough now that I can say to Rosie, okay, here's the deal, and then trust that she's just going to get it. And with this, I think I asked her, like, could you just make it like your kind of, it's a really intimate moment. We're putting on hormones, we're tattooing each other, we're making out. And I never want you to be really like watching us. It's always like from the side, kind of obscured. So it felt like we didn't want to put everything out there. It was more kind of a bit voyeur, but still a bit kind of guarded. And I think because it was Rosie, we maybe let ourselves go, let our guard down.
Thank you. And okay, it looks like Shiwa, can you hear us? Can we hear you? Might be muted still. Okay, I'm just gonna hope that we can have a connection. In the meantime, I want to follow up Emma and Subira. So Emma, your work a lot of times, like you said, it's around kind of centered on your own body, and you know, it seems to include a lot of like ritual and deconstruction and getting into the muck of things. And can you talk more about how T for T was different from your live performance and what it's like for you to create such an intimate and playful film with another person and without dialogue? You talked a bit about that, but I'm wondering if you want to expand on that.
Yeah, I think so often the work that both of us make comes from the difficult places and the hard places, the places where being trans is, you know, is a struggle or there's conflict. And this just felt like a chance to go completely the other way and to really sit into like, this is like the joy and the love and, you know, all of the things that maybe happen that we don't always see. And there was still that ritualistic element. There was still, you know, we're marking our bodies, we're applying these potions and lotions to ourselves that are transformative. We're getting our makeup on and going out and facing the world. But it felt, I don't know, softer somehow.
Yeah, I think that like, yeah, we were kind of saying about how so much of what we do is defensive and or like necessarily like aggy, and so it's actually, yeah, it was really nice to do this thing where our trans bodies are like sites of joy rather than sites of turmoil, and that we can like all of the ways that we're showing love and joy in the film is embodied. We're skating, we're tattooing, you're applying hormones, and it's all like existing in our bodies as joy with like the radical edge, right? Like that is radical. And yeah, I think so often we're not allowed to remember that how radical embodying joy is, and how much of an act of resistance that is. So it was really fun.
And it's interesting you say that it has no words, because I think that, you know, even though we don't speak in it, there was a point where Subira was like, you know what, there's this song that I know and I really think it should be the soundtrack for it, which is this song Get Cute by Screaming Toenail, who are all trans band or trans-led band? Trans-led band over here. And the lyrics of that song, I think, you know, have become so integral to like my enjoyment of the film as well.
Yeah, it is extra cute and extra just sweet, and it does make me think about like, okay, the other work you're doing is like, it's just this like kind of raw, like, let's get into the pain of things. And like, we all need that safe haven, whether it's with a lover, whether it's like a best friend, whether it's with our pups, whatever it is, like, and you really captured that. You really captured that like safe haven of, this is where I go to replenish. This is where I go to really see myself and get cared for and get fed and nourished, and get silly and playful. And it was just really, you captured that so beautifully. So thanks for speaking to that. And I want to move on. We have Shiva here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, hello.
Yay, welcome. I'm wondering if you can just start off by introducing, everybody's introduced themselves in their films and their role in the film. Can you do that? Just your name, the film that you are here with, and your role in that film.
Thank you. Okay, I'm Shiva from Iran. As you know, connection problems everywhere in Iran, so we have lots of problems. So sorry for delay and not having my picture. I am non-binary person, and I just when I was at school in high school, they fired me up because I act different in Iran. Homosexuals and every non-binaries, queers, everyone fired from school, and I must act like transsexual. So I wasn't transsexual, but I must act because they execute homosexuals. They kill us, and I just act like a transsexual to be safe. And even now, we don't feel safe. Any homosexuals in Iran are not safe, and I don't know what am I talking about. I'm from Iran, and there wasn't communication, LGBT communication there. So
Okay.
I was in a movie Aquarium.
When you were filming the aquarium, so one of the themes I noticed in the aquarium is around surveillance, is around cameras, not having privacy, being watched. Did you feel those kind of concerns during filming? Can you talk about what it was like to film the movie?
That movie was about transsexuals. Transsexuals are safe in Iran. They have hard situation, but they are safe. I act as an transsexual. So it was nothing to concern about.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to pass it on to Joe. So I noticed in your film, okay, there's so many just ridiculously cute and relatable things about your film. And how many of us have or have been tempted to, and probably all have texted our exes at some point, or called, and back in my day, left a voicemail on their answering machine, but regrettable. I have a question about something else though. So I noticed that in your captions, you added humor, and the descriptions were very much a part of the film. And things like describing heavy breathing as panting like a top, or panting like a flat earther who finally reached the edge of the earth. Your captions and descriptions were cracking me up as much as the film was. And I'm wondering if you could talk about your decision to make those things, kind of to bring artistic vision into even your captions.
So yeah, Don't Text Your Ex is the first film production of the creative production company that I started in 2020 called the Deranged Society, and I created a film and a podcast for queers so far, and I wanted all of my creations under that label to be inclusive in any way. So it was when I was producing Don't Text Your Ex, I went to Google just to ask the internet what were the complaints of the deaf and hard of hearing people towards the film industry. So apparently, it's the subtitles are only for translations, and they blame the distributors, so the movie theaters, because they could actually put subtitles all the time, and they don't. And when they do, it's around like 10 a.m. So who's gonna go on a date at 10 a.m.? So I was like, okay, maybe I should, as a filmmaker, put the subtitles on the screen, no matter what, to give no one the choice. And I don't know, it's like what year is it? 2022. So we use subtitles all the time on TikTok and on stories, and we don't use sound anymore. We just read the subtitles, and well, when we can read, when we can see, and I decided as I went, because it was like I didn't shoot the movie and told myself I'm gonna put funny subtitles. I just happened to be funny when I put the subtitles, and I was like, I don't know, what do they have to be boring? I'm like, you know, I want to reward. How do you say? I want to make a gift to people who take. It's late here. I don't speak English anymore. Who make the effort to read the subtitles? So I'm like, there's a surprise for you if you read the subtitles. You're gonna laugh if you read the subtitles, whether you are deaf and hard of hearing or not. I want you to find joy and fun comedy anywhere in the film, even in the subtitles.
Yeah, I do appreciate that, and I hear a lot of feedback too that subtitles are often dry, they're impersonal, they're not very descriptive, right? Like people just say music, but they don't talk about what kind of music and why is that. And I also hear the same for audio description. Now I think a lot of us are, that's a lot newer to a lot of filmmakers, is bringing in audio description to our work, and and that's audio description for blind and low vision viewers. And a lot of similar feedback is just it's really dry, it's really brief, it's not very descriptive at all. It doesn't really seem to have the experience of the person watching or hearing the film in mind. It just has like, this is what we need to say. And so yeah, I love that you really engaged with folks and gifted
of course
folks.
I had to hire an accessibility consultant to make sure it was okay. And
yeah. That's it. That's the work, hiring folks to
agree with everything.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm gonna move on to the next question, which is for Nyla. So, How Not to Date While Trans is both hilarious and it's super vulnerable and painful. And I'm wondering, did you set out to make a comedy initially, or did you know that it was going to be kind of run the gamut of being like really funny and really raw and kind of heartbreaking, and also just like light and irreverent? Like what was your thought process when you first started the film, when you had the idea, and like to where it ended up?
That's really interesting, because the work that the TV shows and the movies that I really love, they kind of like employ that technique where it's like funny and it's like comedic and it's like maybe someone being self-deprecating and making fun of themselves, but they're also using that to tell like a real story that's like really painful or something that they've been through. And a lot of those works have really resonated with me, and as a filmmaker I wanted to like replicate those stories, because I want people to leave watching my films feeling uplifted, through the humor, but also like seeing that, okay, someone else has been through this and they got through it with comedy and I can too. So a lot of my works that I've made before and that I want to make, I want to always like be in that middle ground of like telling real raw stories, but also using comedy to get it across. Because I mean, honestly, some of the like crazy stuff that happened to me and my trans friends, like we like are like, oh my god, that was so painful, but then we laugh about it and we like make fun of each other, and it's like, and it helps you heal through through the traumatic experiences that you've been through, it's helped me. And I know the power of comedy, and when comedy is used right to to show people different experiences and to help you heal from what you've been through. So yeah, I did mean for it to be a comedy, and I did mean for it to be a little ouchy and raw, and I'm so happy that that was that was able to get across with my work.
I'm going to move to Jacqueline, and so in Loose Threads and The Silly Little Exorcism, which is just such a sweet, it's like, it just reminds me of like teenage love and goodness and all the warm things. And, Aphrodite, kind of turfy. What made you decide to go in that direction?
Yeah, I did not expect it to be as big a deal as it was, but a huge, that's the one thing everybody's asking about. I was like, oh, I didn't think anything of it. I'm trying to think of how to answer concisely. I think the short answer is just that just me being me, me having my the religious upbringing I had. I think my basic thought is why wouldn't God be transphobic? If this deity came down. Yeah, that's kind of the short answer. But ultimately, it's supposed to kind of be this I guess a sort of, it's supposed to be a sort of very backhanded love, I guess, where basically what my character really wants is to feel like a woman and be perceived as a woman, but she doesn't believe that it's within herself. And we see in the first half of the film, she's being given all this validation by this girl that's very clearly into her, and she's just not getting it. And that's kind of taken a step further when Aphrodite shows up, and we just see on paper she's giving my character everything she wants. She's like, I will use my non-specific love magic to make it so that you were always cis, basically. And I kind of, I was kind of reflecting, because I was still in the process of coming out while I was making this film. And what I kind of realized and what I wanted to convey is that I wanted to depict being trans as something that is inward. And yes, in theory it'd be great if God could make it so that we always had the bodies we wanted, but that's ultimately not going to make us happy if we don't love and see ourselves as the gender we are first, I guess. And that was always, even now I'm just I don't want it to I was so worried upon releasing this to queer spaces. I don't want it to come off as me condemning surgery or anything, because I want boobs. I hope to get boobs at some point in my life. But my point was more so to be hey, you should even if you haven't physically or medically transitioned, you should still love and see yourself as 100% valid, just as valid as someone who maybe has had surgery done. So yeah, that's kind of I hope that sort of answered the question.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think it brings everything back to it's a great point of tension in the sense that it brings you back to, your character back to just self-love, and makes me think about how much I love being trans, and I wouldn't have it any other way. If I could choose to, if I could have a conversation with Aphrodite or whoever and choose to come back this life or the next life as cis, there's no way I would do it. And it's because how exciting is it that we get to connect with each other and create this beautiful work. And there are all these struggles that we are dealing with, of course, thinking about who gets to see themselves on film most, who gets funding, who it's okay to have them direct and act in their films, and who it's, when it's not okay, and that we just get to like break the mold, and we continue to do it no matter what. And I love that, and I love all of your projects, and I would love to hear what you're working on next before we wrap up. So if you could, each of you, popcorn style, whoever wants to speak about what are your next projects, what's coming up, what can we be excited to look out for?
I'm preparing, with the help of the Ontario Arts Council, a stand-up show with 2D animations called Life is Too Short to Be Straight. And it's about grief and anxiety and being a newcomer in Canada right before a global pandemic. So it's gonna be fun.
We've actually just come out of an access meeting all day for a project that we're working on together that has been 6 years coming, but also maybe 500 years coming, because it's a remounting of a play by a playwright who was around just before Shakespeare, called John Lilly, who wrote this play called Galatea that is a trans love story. And I hope in some way, maybe Jacqueline, in response to a turfy Aphrodite, has an extremely trans-positive representation of Venus, who at the end of the play, when confronted with these two trans lovers and what her opinion of it is, says, "I like it well and I allow it." And we're putting that show on here in Brighton next year with it's going to be an outdoor production. It has a large company of trans non-binary people, and it's really exciting. That's finally coming to fruition. And do you have a show?
Yeah, I am also currently working on a show. It's a solo show called Kill the Cop Inside Your Head, and it's about policing and how we as people of color and queer people and trans people internalize the role of the police and become that for ourselves, and how we can resist against that. And it's a bit of poetry and other things. So that should be happening fairly soon as well.
I don't have anything like fully concrete happening yet, but just generally speaking, what I want to do next. So this film, I always am never sure like how much I want to go into this because it's fairly convoluted. But this film that's screening this festival, Loose Threads and the Silly Little Exorcism, is in fact the 4th installment of a web series that I've had going on for like years and years. And it's kind of what I have kind of been trying to do with it is like, I want it to be like a cinematic universe that you can watch while every film is still like instead of like the Marvel approach where it's like you're going to be totally lost if you're watching like Thor 4 out of context or something. Like I wanted, and I hopefully succeeded on like making a film that is very much in this like pre-established universe of it. I guess not everybody has seen the film at this point, but basically the premise is that like it takes the myth of the red thread of fate, where you have a soulmate at the end of your finger, and it's like a fantasy world where that is like really a thing, where it's like there's like a physical string that connects you to the end of your soulmate. And like over the years, I've just been like making these short films that like are all set and like all kind of they'll take that like basic world, and then they like there's like a different story each time. So this is like it's a sequel, but like in name only, where it's like Aphrodite, for example, like is brought back from like a previous installment where it's like Aphrodite is like the goddess of love in this universe. And I like it's hard because I started this beginning of college and like with high school friends still, and it's like now everyone's like all spread out, so like that's why Aphrodite is like just voiceover, and I had to like find a way to like put her in the story but like not have her be physically present because the actor's in like North Carolina. But so with all that in mind, I definitely want to I have like ideas for like more Loose Threads like installments that aren't necessarily like direct sequels to this one, but are still like new stories that are like set in that world that I'm developing and hope to make soon.
Okay, so my next project is it's a short film called Dilating for Maximum Results, and again, it's a comedy. Again, it's about being trans and dealing with the stuff that we deal with. That's my lane. That's where I'm gonna be in. Hopefully, for the rest of my life, I'll make these stories because they interest me so much, and these are stories that I needed to see. So I'm gonna work on some more trans stuff. Yeah, thank you.
Yay, I am so glad that we're going to see more work from all of you. And I'm so sad that we have lost Nyla and Shiwa, but hopefully we'll be able to connect with them and bring their answers into this discussion through the magic of editing. And yeah, I am just so excited about all of your work, and thank you so much for being a part of the festival. Folks, please follow and keep up with these brilliant filmmakers. And you can, we'll be posting on social media, their social media on social media, and check us out at $3 Bill Cinema. We hope you enjoy the rest of the festival. And again, thanks so much for joining us. Y'all have a beautiful rest of your day or night, whatever time zone you're in. And I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.